Good morning on Thursday, November 16th. It's episode 318 of the 359 podcast. I'm BVG, and full house today. Joan, Solsman, Ben Fox, Rubin, and Alfred Ng will be your hosts.
Hello, hello.
Good morning.
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking all about different VR experiences that our lovely friend Joan has checked out all throughout this week. You've had kind of a fun week, huh?
Yeah, I got to do a couple. I got to do a few VR things. It's
So
really fun.
VR gaming is one of them with Nintendo's Duck Hunt in VR, and the other one was the new Pixar movie Coco got its own, VR experience too.
Got the VR treatment.
Okay, but when are we getting 359 VR edition?
Well, we did a 360.
We did 360.
That's 360
That's
video.
close.
That's kind of I don't want. Nah, that's not real VR.
All right, we'll
It's true.
we'll
That's
work on
not real
it.
VR, but it's the best that we've.
Yeah,
been able
Be
to
here
do.
watching
BVG can
in
do
front
it.
of us, okay? And I can like pull up like a sword or something in virtual reality. That's where the real moneymaker is.
That's
Right.
what this podcast needs. Anyway, send in your questions and comments. BVG will get to as many as he can at the end of the show. At the end of the show. At the end of the show. Let's get to the podcast.
All right, we're going to record this. We'll see you guys back in the chat in 3 minutes and 59 seconds from 3, 2.
Welcome to the 359. I'm Ben Fox Rubin.
I'm Joni Solsman.
I'm Alfred Ng.
So Pixar offered its first foray into virtual reality with an experience called Coco VR based on the upcoming film Coco. Joan, you had a chance to check this out. What was it like?
It was really fun. Every time I talk to people that make VR or are thinking about VR or cheerleaders of VR, they always describe virtuality to people who haven't tried it as it's like stepping into a Pixar movie. And this is the first time that Pixar, that animation studio that almost is universally beloved, has dedicated their resources and their level of quality and their animation to a virtual reality experience.
Is it kind of like a trailer for the movie, or what's like it actually like?
No.
What do you do?
It's not a trailer. It goes beyond what a lot of promotional film VR featurettes have done. It's really interactive. It's really social. And basically you become, Coco is about, basically it's based on the Mexican holiday, Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. And you become a skeleton. You are in a room and you get to try on clothing and stuff to get yourself acclimated to this
Take your
world.
head off.
You can take your skull off and throw it around the room if you want. And you're doing all this with a friend in VR.
Like a
which is
real
fun.
friend.
Yeah, like I did it with one of the Oculus producers that worked on the project. Anyway, so you're in a room. And then you kind of like, almost like when Dorothy like leaves her house and enters Oz and you see color for the first time, you step out into this town square in this gigantic world of the dead. And it looks like a Pixar movie. It's like being in a beautiful Pixar land. And you can you get to go to an art gallery and look at sort of like DVD extras. You get to see concept art and trailers. There's a movie theater and you can see a deleted scene. But you also get to just play around and do things, take your picture at a photo booth. There are sparklers. You can wave sparklers around.
That's kind of
Yeah, I feel like this is the first time I've seen a VR like movie promotion or anything like that where I didn't think it was extremely corny. And I feel like Pixar definitely adds that element to it.
They definitely went beyond where a lot of those promotional
where it can
VR
feel like
features go.
forced. Where it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh, VR's a thing. We should do a promo thing for it.
Yeah.
It looks like they made a little bit more of an effort with this one.
I saw like one of the clips at the beginning where like when you were in VR, you like put a hat on and it showed like Coco putting the hat on. That looked like really cool.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a lot of fun.
So you also got a chance to check out, what is it, like Nintendo's Duck Hunt or a
Right.
reboot of it in VR as well?
Right. So last night, or I guess this morning, Vive, HTC Vive, which makes another of the high-end headsets, they announced some new controllers that allow you to do games that already exist and some new games with actual guns that feel like guns instead
like
of having
rackets.
the awkward rackets instead of just having the awkward kind of hand controllers as your only way to play. And so one of the games that they let us try was this reboot of Duck Hunt. And it was so, if you played Duck Hunt as a kid, I played it anytime I was sick home from school. I would just sit and play Duck Hunt all day long. It's really fun. They have like almost like a Stranger Things like 80s throwback living room that you're sitting in at the beginning, and then Duck Hunt starts, or Duck Season starts. It's not called Duck Hunt, it's called Duck Season. But like the same little dog that like comes up and
you
laughs
have to
at
do
you.
the dog.
Yeah, he comes up and he's in VR and he's doing these horrible dances, and you can shoot him if you want. And then you shoot
That's
ducks.
not nice.
Well, I mean, he's fine. Don't worry.
Yeah,
you always shoot the dog. I know.
always shoot the dog.
That's what the dog's there for.
But it's super fun, and they really played up the like retro, like nostalgia factor of it too. It's really cool.
So we don't have a ton of time left, but I did want to get to like big picture concept. Do you think stuff like this is actually going to get people to invest in VR headsets? Like these two concepts are with Oculus and HTC Vive. They cost a lot of money, but do you think that this is something that's really going to push this forward into the mainstream?
I think that the only thing that's going to get people excited about paying that much money for something that they don't really understand what it is when there are these trusted games or movies that they know that they love, that give them a reason to be like, oh yeah, I actually do want to try that. When it's unfamiliar, when it's an unfamiliar technology and unfamiliar content, there's nothing there to pull you in. But when it's something like Pixar or Duck Hunt that you already love, that could give people more of a reason to start trying it.
Yeah, totally. Anyway, if you want to read more about these stories, check us out on CNET. I'm Ben Fox Rubin.
I'm Joni Solsman.
I'm Alfred Ng.
Thanks for listening.
All right, everybody on board, go ahead and start submitting questions and comments. This is pretty cool stuff. I just loved how you so casually like, you become a skeleton. That phrase just made me chuckle. I had to hold it back so I didn't come in on the stream. You die.
You don't actually. It's a very.
It's like a very
Pixar version of dying.
It's a very Day of the Dead concept,
Disney,
right?
yeah.
That like it's a skeleton, but it's fun.
It's a fun skeleton.
You're a fun skeleton.
Yeah, and it is super fun. I had a lot of fun doing it.
I did want to mention this during the podcast, but there's never enough time. So if you actually want to try this out, the experience is available on the Oculus Rift right now, and a version of the experience will launch on Samsung Gear VR November 22nd.
Right.
Which is next week, alongside the opening of the film.
And
in
if
the US.
you don't have a VR headset or at all, they are doing demos of it at some Disney stores and at some movie theaters. So you can go online and find out which ones exactly.
Which makes a lot of sense. I feel like VR is such a new concept for a lot of people that putting it in, like a movie theater or retail location, it doesn't require people to like shell out a ton of money for this stuff because I don't know, unless you're going to use it a ton, why would you spend that much
That's
money
why they
on
should
something
just
like
go
this?
to VR arcades.
That's a thing too.
Bring that back.
That already exists.
You can go to arcades and just give like $1 or something for like one VR session. I don't know what the VR arcade prices are.
Have you been to those?
Actually, the demo of the Duck season and all the Vive, HTC Vive stuff was at a VR arcade. It's handy because they already have bays set up with Vive things, so the company doesn't have to show up at a place and set up all this VR
arcades
stuff.
with like VR stuff. I feel like a lot of people would go to that because they don't want to, it's the same reason with arcades. Back when consoles used to cost a lot and you didn't want to buy a whole cabinet just to play Pac-Man.
Well, it's largely the same mentality of the gimmicks that they put in to get people back in the movie theaters. The 3D movies and everything that had their little
or the
renaissance.
Yeah.
I mean, you make it an experience. Everybody can put a big screen in their house now. Make it something more. I mean, I'm not saying 3D was the end-all, be-all. The movies, it certainly has proven that it hasn't been, but give me some, now there's 4D theaters, which I went, by the way, and saw Rogue One when it came out. Don't go see Rogue One in 4D if it ever comes back. That movie has a lot of rain in it.
What is 4D?
It's
4D just means like you get rain on you?
You know when they have like the physical experiences at like
Universal Studios.
Yeah, Universal Studios rides.
They had a Shrek one where like the dragon like breathes fire and it gets hotter in the room, or like there's rats running around. They like you feel like something like touching your leg.
This sounds really gimmicky.
Yeah, it's 4D.
It's 4D.
Yeah, it's super gimmicky, but it can be fun. But for the record, there's a beach scene and a lot of rain in Rogue One, and that got old fast. That's my formal, unofficial 4D review.
Wait, are you wearing like a headset or something?
No.
And the
No,
usher shows up and sprays something on you?
You watch the movie normally, like a 3D movie. It's just like there's stuff in the room that like messes with you.
Okay. I don't know that I would be super into that, but
there's just all these devices and lights and the seats shake and stuff like that. But yeah, I just kept getting sprayed with water and I got really annoying.
Joan, I was also curious, like, so for instance, with like a VR arcade, can you tell us a bit about that? Like, I've never been to one. Does it seem kind of cool? Is it something that you think like a lot of people are going to want to try out?
You can go to Blips and Chips.
Flips and chips.
I think that it makes a lot of sense to have them, but I don't know if people are really flocking to them. I've read articles about how because it's such a niche thing, there's not a lot of them yet, that the ones that do exist, they can be really popular just because it's the only place that you can go. There isn't like the kind of ubiquity where there's competition in a city with tons and tons of places where you can go to
the problem is like the investment in actually making one.
Yeah, and also, I mean, people are still so unfamiliar. It's not like you're like, oh man, I don't have anything to do Friday night. I'm going to go to the VR arcade. It's not like ingrained as an entertainment option into our mentality yet. So it definitely makes sense to have them. I don't know how popular they are yet.
Also, I feel like once VR gets more affordable, they're going to go the exact same route as arcades did. And I think a lot of people like have that in hindsight now, so they're not really like very eager to open these.
Because like eventually it's just going to become like a home experience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think a lot of people hope that that's the direction that we're going to go in, but I think the prices really have to go down a
And there's
lot.
definitely advantages to having an arcade. Like, there are things in VR that you can't, even when VR technology for the home becomes more sophisticated, there's still going to be things that you're not going to want to set up in your home. Like, there are like seats that you sit on that move you around and make you feel like you're flying and stuff. Like, you're not going to set that up in your home.
Oh, you mean like that thing at CES last year? Did you go on that?
No.
The VR flying thing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The hypersuit?
Yeah.
No, I didn't go on that silly, weird bird thing. So, but yeah.
Yeah, the silly, weird bird thing. You're not going to want that in your home, but maybe you want to be a silly, weird bird at an arcade.
Right. Maybe. Or like at a mall, like something stupid to do at a mall. Anyway, you got any questions for us?
Actually, there appears to be some technical difficulties going on with the stream. We're streaming. I'm not sure why. A lot of people didn't get an alert today, so apologies for that. I have no idea what's going on with YouTube these days. It's kind of beyond my control. But thank you to everyone who's put up with their BS and hanging on tight, and props to the notification squad. Let's take a couple of questions. Less questions, more considerations. I like the concept coming from Josh Boyda. He says, "Are there VR escape rooms? How cool would that be?"
Escape rooms. What's that mean?
Like, you know, those like escape the rooms things that they do in New York or in multiple places that I don't remember the names of currently. I think they have one in Idaho. They have them in a lot of places.
It's kind of it's kind of an interactive choose your own adventure type situation. Okay. Where you and a group of people are in a scenario where you're in basically a set dressed area, and you have situations you have to overcome, more so verbally, sometimes physically.
Aren't there like kind of
puzzles like a turn-based, and it's a puzzle-based type thing. But imagine doing that in a virtual environment with incredible special effects and stuff going on
especially
around you.
If you've got like your buddies with you, because I feel like that's relatively new, right, Joan? That like that you could actually have a VR experience and have somebody like that's like a regular person right next to you. That kind of takes away from, or at least like smooths over that whole idea that VR can be really isolating.
Right. Yeah. Social VR has been around for a while, but it's not it's hard to do because not a lot lot of people have VR.
Right.
So not a lot of people have used social VR, but when you
can call up all your friends and be like, "Hey," but they can't do it.
But when you do get a chance to do social VR, it is really fun. Like Scott Stein, who on our reviews side does a lot of he wrote about the Vive controllers, for example. He and I were in Facebook, I think it's called Spaces, the Facebook like come and play in this little playground with your friends in VR. And we did that, and it's 7 years down the line when we look back on it, we're gonna be like, God, that was stupid. But right now, it's just kind of fun because it's like you look at your friend and he kind of looks like, actually, Scott's avatar in Spaces looked a lot like you.
I look good.
Only in VR.
Only in VR, though.
Not IRL.
IRL.
Sick burn, bro. So what are our favorite VR games here? Personally, I really like this one. Oh, shoot. It's got hot in the title. Help me.
Is this like a dirty thing?
No, it's... I got to look it up again.
We played... Okay, so there were two that I played in the office that were at least memorable and interesting. One of them was a zombie shooter, which I thought was very cool. Roger was very good at that. You had to like spin around a lot and like hold like a crappy flashlight And that just makes sense. Like doing zombie stuff in VR is kind of cool.
There was one where it was like a space cadet training thing or whatever that I thought was pretty fun. I liked how you could like pull back and then like get different weapons or like get a shield or something like that if you only pulled back with your like your left hand or something like that.
Yeah.
I've never played this one, but I would really like to. It's called Office Simulator. You're in VR pretending to be a office employee.
Is that it?
It's awesome. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Job Simulator. That was like a big hit like 3 years ago.
Yeah, Job Simulator.
I don't know why those are interesting to people.
What is this?
Oh, is that it?
So I found it. It's called Super Hot. I feel like an idiot for not remembering that, but my exposure's been very limited. But this was one of the very few things I did get to try, and it's kind of a red light, green light game where your enemy only moves when you move, and it's on Oculus Rift, and you're equipped with a ton of different stuff surrounding you in this very just geometric setting. So there's guns and there's staplers and there's just random office-y things that you can chuck at them or steal their weapons and turn it around. But you can see that there's like they're in slow motion until you come at them, and then they speed up to regular motion, and then it's all about your reflexes. And it's a pretty friggin' cool game.
I like the stylization, but at the same time, it kind of takes a bit away from the whole concept of VR being super immersive and photorealistic.
I would disagree with you because what I've heard from people that make VR is that usually it's like this. What is it they call
Uncanny Valley?
The Uncanny Valley. Like the more you make something try to look like real people, the more you're just kind of like this stinks. But the more you like degrade the quality, especially with humans, like you degrade, like if you make it look polygonal and like geographic and or not geographic, sorry,
geographic is the right word.
Geometric, that's the word I'm looking for. Like the more you do that, the more people like forget about like you don't think about the interface as much. You just think about playing and having fun, and you don't get weirded out.
Yeah, that's why like my favorite games are all like pretty low graphic stuff. I'm not really into
why
like,
Nintendo.
The whole realistic look.
Yeah, it's why Nintendo continues to exist.
Art doesn't have to be
cartoony.
Art doesn't have to be high fidelity. It just has to be stylized.
Yeah. No, it's just really that was one of the first VR experiences that I saw that wasn't like that was intentionally not realistic, and it really is kind of like
Office Simulator is not realistic.
Interesting.
Cartoony.
It's pretty cartoony.
The other one that I wanted to mention,
but the gameplay is very realistic.
Yeah,
as far as being part of the office,
ironically.
So the other one, which we also had in the office, was like a Star Wars thing.
Oh yeah,
but
that was cool.
It was like kind of like a game, but it was more like a trailer, and it didn't last very long. I could kind of tell that this is just really the early days of VR. Everybody's just testing things out. There wasn't a ton to do there, and it was mostly just being able to like look around and see things,
which in itself was kind of astonishing. Just like I'm standing next to the Millennium Falcon.
It was fun to do once, and it's not something that would result in me buying this stuff. You know,
no, not yet.
That's really like the way that I look at it is like, what's the market here? What's actually going to get this into the mainstream? And like, you know, even Coco VR, I would probably argue, hasn't really done that quite yet.
Yeah, I mean, again, my exposure's been extraordinarily limited somehow in this office. The only other one I've played is Batman VR on PlayStation. And I strongly recommend never playing the level titled Origin.
Okay.
For obvious reasons. Joan, remember the time?
Oh, yeah.
Remember the time we had Rhett and Lincoln?
Yeah.
And what was that game called?
They were just playing Tilt Brush.
Tilt Brush.
Which I don't know if it's actually a game. Yeah.
You just draw on it.
I can't remember if it was Vive or Rift. But it's not really a game. It's more like a art playground where you use controllers to sculpt in VR. And so we played Pictionary. What is it? Yeah, Pictionary.
Yeah, Pictionary.
Basically Pictionary in VR, where one of them would get something that they had to draw in virtual reality, and the other one have to guess what it is.
That was fun, though.
It was fun.
They were fun dudes.
If anyone can guess what
is that a flashlight?
Red is drawing there, it's very funny.
It was a flashlight.
It was a flashlight. Good job. That's a flashlight.
It was actually kind of fun to play along while these guys were actually doing this.
Would you see it on like a TV screen? Or
yeah, we had a TV.
But you would have to put like the headset on to like
if we had like
guess.
multiple headsets, you could watch him do it in VR, and you could watch it in VR. But there's always a monitor that you can see everything from his perspective as he's making it. So
it was a lot of fun.
One other thing that I also wanted to ask you on the VR side, like more on like the filmmaking side.
Yeah.
What has been like one of the standouts that you've seen also? Because like you got a chance to go to like South by this year, Sundance. There's been a lot of like VR experiments in filmmaking.
Yeah.
What's something that you really liked or would like tell your friends about?
Side.
Yeah.
Well, I really liked, I mean, the most recent thing was the Coco experience. And that's the thing about VR is that because it's such an emerging art form, that the newest stuff that you see is pretty much going to be the stuff that is most exciting, because every month people are able to figure out how the heck to do the things that they've been really wanting to do. And technology's catching up with them, catching up with their aspirations for what they can do. But I've written a lot about Baobab. They did one of the first narrative VR like films or whatever called Invasion that was super popular when Gear VR was just coming out. And they've done a lot of other experiences, but they are staffed by people from Zynga and also somebody that's started out at DreamWorks. And so they're like Pixar, their animation is always top notch. It always looks great. And that's really fun.
What's Invasion about?
It's about aliens coming to Earth and trying to attack a bunny, but they're foibles and not actually being able to attack the bunny.
Not a bunny.
The bunny wins at the end, apparently.
The bunny wins!
So, Joan, do you feel like throughout your experience, I realize you're kind of like our VR queen at this point.
For some, not for games, but for non-games.
Do you feel like the medium is refining itself? Is it actually progressing? Do we see more logistical uses for it in the near future, perhaps?
Well, I don't know exactly what you mean by, what do you mean by logistical uses? Like other applications for it?
Better, more actually helpful applications for it.
Well, sure. There's lots of, I mean, I feel like people are always coming up with different ways to apply VR, and some of them are mind-blowing, like where healthcare professionals will use VR to help paraplegics regain feeling in limbs they've never been able to use.
Yeah, didn't Roger do a story about like he watched in on a surgery like through VR?
Did he?
Yeah, he did it.
It may have been at a conference.
Yeah, he did it. He did it from what's that mobile conference in Barcelona?
MWC,
Mobile World Congress.
Yeah.
Yes, he did it from there, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty stunning but it's pretty stunning the things you can do in VR and what people are imagining you can do in VR, but it's all like one step away from conceptual. It's like not conceptual anymore because people can actually put it into place and do it, but none of it has like traction. It's still kind of like pie in the sky.
Like the educational features for it could really be pretty mind-blowing, really interesting. Like, let's go visit the Revolutionary War. But
when you think about...
it sounds to me like that's a long way from now.
Yeah, like when you think about the implications for like disparity in education, like, you know, poor schools versus rich schools. Rich schools get to go to Italy on a field trip, and when you're in high school, and poor schools like get to go around to the bodega like on the corner.
Another issue entirely. Yeah, absolutely.
And like if there was a way, and like, you know, as VR becomes less expensive, people talk about people putting iPads in classrooms, the idea of putting VR in classrooms.
Can't be that far away.
You might have like a VR room or something. I mean, like a VR headset for every desk sounds to me like it's not coming anytime soon.
Well, except like it just depends. Like a cardboard at every desk is totally feasible right now. It just depends on how things go.
Yeah.
I liked what you said with the educational experience. I could see museums embracing this a lot more, and instead of having big walk-in exhibits kind of thing, there would be more of a virtual thing. Things would move. You could be like in the Sahara and experience the wildlife indigenously. At least put a 3D camera out there, and then maybe not be fully interactive.
You would also get like a narration. You know,
sure, absolutely. I mean, they do that now though, but being immersed in a headset, and I think that'd be kind of cool.
I would be on board if David Attenborough was narrating any of it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I like Josh Boyd's comment, Magic School Bus, the VR experience.
So, Josh, Magic School Bus, the experience, is actually something that has happened in a way. There was, this is really cool because it's virtual reality, but not headset-based virtual reality. It's, there was this company, and I can't remember the name of the company, sorry. But basically what they did, instead of putting headsets on kids to have them go to Mars, they put kids on this school bus with a literal school bus where the windows were transparent glass that could also become screens, like LED screens, like at a flip of a switch. And so they got onto this bus and they were in Washington, D.C. and they were just like driving around D.C. like on the way on to some field trip when all of a sudden like the screens on their bus turned into viewpoints on Mars. And so instead of looking out the window and seeing like a park go by and a swing set or somebody's house, they would see like mountains on Mars and craters, and it was all mapped to Mars itself. So when they would make a right turn, it would like be following where they would be on Mars.
That's friggin' awesome.
Which is really cool. Totally. It was a VR Magic school bus. Literally.
And I want that.
You stole the words out of my mouth.
I want to go back to school just for that. Oh man, can we set up a trip there? Can we do that?
I don't know if they're still doing it.
It would be extra cool if it suddenly turned into like a horror flick and like the bus driver like hit a Martian, like the front like hit a Martian, and then like all of a sudden you had to like get out and like fight the Martian.
VR haunted hayride.
So
you accidentally killed like the Martian mayor or something, and then you have to like fight them.
Lockheed Martin was the company that like basically kind of funded it, and the VR visual effects company that put it together is called Framestore. So if you want to look it up, it's a really cool program, and it was just something that they did. Oh, it's so cute. There's like kids laughing and screaming and like with joy in this this picture. Sorry, let me see if I can.
Can you also throw up on the bus as part of the VR experience?
You absolutely can.
I found the video.
We played a little bit while you were describing it.
Okay, it's really cute.
All right, so I think we should wrap it up and go find these guys and set up a CNET field trip.
We're gonna find that bus. Cool,
Joan.
Find that bus.
Joan, make it happen.
I can talk to Framestore. The bus has to be somewhere.
I want to go to there.
Yes,
I want to go to that place.
All right, let's call it.
Time to wrap it up.
Yeah, fun week, everybody. The 359 is available on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, SoundCloud, FeedBurner, Google Play Music, and
CNET.com.
Thank you very much for that. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll see you again on Monday.
See you Monday, everybody.
Bye.